My name is TJ. I'm a person in long-term recovery. For me, that means I haven't had a drink or a drug since August 9th, 2016. I'm here today with Sam, and you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sam Alessandrian. My clean day is August 11th, 2020. I haven't had a drink or a drug since then either.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Both coming up.
Both coming up, celebrating at the same time.
Absolutely. That's pretty cool. It's funny because we were talking about a young people's group we used to go to and like the relationships within the group and like, you know, people actually stay sober and get sober at a young age. How old were you when you found recovery?
I was 28.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
when I first went to treatment.
Okay. Was that your first and only ever time at treatment?
It was.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So far, so good. Did one detox, one rehab. And once I found 12 steps, I've been sticking to it since.
Nice. So your 12 steps is your pathway of recovery.
It is. 12 steps. I do both AA and NA. That's given me like the fellowship, the commitments, the service work, everything is in there. The sponsorship,
Yep.
the steps. I did all 12 in AA. Now I'm working on my NA steps, so trying to do both.
There you go.
As much as I can.
Expanding out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about your early life. Where'd you grow up? What was it like? When did you start using drugs and alcohol?
So I was born in New Haven, Connecticut. Lived there till about third grade. Then I went over to Wallingford. And that was the first time I remember transitioning. I didn't feel like very comfortable at the New Haven schools because I didn't have many friends there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember having a friend group up until high school, really. I had a little bit in middle school.
So you always felt like kind of like you didn't fit in or you didn't belong kind of thing?
I felt like I was holding on to my friendships as much as I could. Like I'd become friends with somebody and just hold on to that even when it didn't suit me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to abandon anybody. That was a big thing for me. It still is a big thing for me now.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I moved to Wallingford. I was like 8 years old and started going to school out there. I didn't really get into any kind of drugs until I was 15. I remember that's the first time that I smoked pot, but I was very resistant to it.
You didn't want to smoke?
No.
Okay.
My whole friend group started smoking, and I was that person like, do not do this. This isn't good.
Nice.
Yeah. The first time I smoked, we smoked out in the back, and I remember being so terrified. And I was like, I'm not even high. This didn't even work. I don't know why you guys like this. And they're like, you're not doing it right. And, I just kind of wanted to keep those friends because I had like 5 people in my neighborhood and in my school that I would hang around with, and they started transitioning to those things. So my mom always used to say, you are like the people you hang around. You're always in the wrong place at the wrong time. She used to tell me. But yeah, I started doing that. And I hear it a lot in addict stories that progress before I knew it.
Okay.
The more I smoked, the more friends I had. That transitioned into starting to sell to have more friends. I feel like a lot of my addiction came down to wanting more people around me.
Yep.
And the more that I participated in that, at the time, the cooler I felt. I'm glad it's not like that today because now I feel good being in recovery. But that transition to experimenting with hallucinogens and, whoever had something, I always had this little resistance still of trying things, but I would, and...
You would just do whatever.
Kind of. Once I experienced not being in this reality, I kind of kept chasing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much a daydreamer, so that contributed to my disease a lot. I like to not be where I'm at. Always feel like my head's up in the clouds. That's why I smoked. That's why I drank. And it progressed from, using hard drugs to drinking and using hard drugs, which ultimately took me to my knees. And I told myself for a while that I would get out of it. There were so many times I share in my story when I say I didn't want to be an addict anymore, but I just couldn't not be.
Yes.
Like I promised myself, I wrote myself letters, I threw my drugs out the window. People are always shocked when I say that, but I truly wanted to change, and I didn't even know what recovery was. I didn't know there was a way.
You were searching for something, you just didn't know it was recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, like when you're talking about that, like growing up, I always felt like a square peg in a round hole. I kind of felt like I just never fit in, and like, jump from friend groups and stuff like that, trying to find where I fit in. And then like, first time I started smoking weed, like I left that friend group to a different friend group. And at that point, like it was kind of all over. Like I was just destined to continue down that pathway. And, it is what it is, right? Like those are the experiences that make us who we are today, right? Like I don't regret my drug use. You know what I mean? Because it led me to recovery, and recovery saved my life, But, and another thing too is it sounds like you have a lot of other parts of you. When did you get into music?
So I was into music way before I ever used. It was actually my first outlet. So before drugs and alcohol became my outlet, music was. I'd be in my room, and someone that I was seeing at the time, when we ended our relationship, he gave me his guitar, and he's just like, you can have it. And we never ended up seeing each other again. I started playing on it, teaching myself happy birthday and little things like that. I always loved to sing and make up songs, but they were more like poems.
Yep.
And once I got that guitar and got to put music behind it, magic began. And still to this day, I don't really know what I'm playing. I kind of find something that I like, what it sounds like, and just sing to it and let like my subconscious thoughts make songs.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
So let's bring it back to getting sober. What happened? Tell me about that day.
The day that I got...
Tell me about that day.
So I was putting myself in a lot of dangerous situations.
Okay.
My family lived in Wallingford. I ended up going to Meriden and, staying at the drug houses, working a pizza delivery job. I was drinking and driving every single day. It's terrible to say that. But I had nips of tequila right there. I was stopping every 15 minutes to get cocaine at the drug dealer's house. It started me getting it from whoever had it. And I wanted to get clean, like I said, for a while. But there was something special about that day. It was during COVID, so I had tried to call the access line. I actually found out about detox, rehab, and all that from the drug house I was staying in.
Okay.
So everyone there was like, we're going to go to rehab. And I was like, cool, like, let's do it, right? Let's all do it at the same time. That didn't work.
Yep.
But I kept waiting, too, because certain people were like, I'm going to come with you. And I was like trying to make it this thing, like, let's all like get clean together. We all use together. Let's all get clean. I didn't know how this works at all.
Okay.
I always share in meetings that I thought you paid for a sponsor. I thought step work was working out. I had no idea what this was. Like,
Yep.
I couldn't, when people said recovery, I was just like, what does that even mean? I didn't even learn until I was in treatment. But that day, I actually recorded my last use by accident. I had my phone in my pocket on a voice memo. Because when I used to use, I'd make a lot of music. I thought I was a better musician. I thought I was just a better person. I thought drugs didn't affect me. Because people would tell me, Sam, you're so much cooler when you're drunk. You're so much fun when you smoke. And I thought, okay, so this is the gift that I need. Like, this is what I need to be better. What I've been searching for my whole life. I thought I would be the best pothead and the best alcoholic and just the most fun when I'm using for people to be around. But that turned sick really quick. I was in so many dangerous situations. Those 6 weeks I was trying to get into treatment, they kept telling me there was no beds because of COVID.
Yep.
So I went to 3 new drugs in those 6 weeks. And my family was telling me, Sam, you're so skinny, like, and I just didn't want them in my business. I couldn't accept it. I was in denial. Part of me knew. The other part just figured I can handle this. I wanted to get clean on my own so badly, like a lot of us do. I didn't want to have to go to rehab. I felt embarrassed. And it really is not an embarrassing thing at all. It's an act of courage, and I know that now. But that day, that recording, I had said to my dealer, I'm going to treatment. They told me to call them at 8 a.m. I'm calling them at 7:59. I was staying up all night. He's like, you're not going to get clean. You say this all the time. And I just had it. And I said, no, God has got me today. I just knew it. Something about that day I just knew. And I was like, I'm never going to see you again. You'll never see me again. I'm going to get clean and I'm going to stay clean. And he didn't believe me, and I ended up calling Access Line. They didn't have a bed at 8, but then a God shot, I called again at 10:30, and they were like, can you be ready in 15 minutes? I was nowhere near my house, but I felt like I had won an award. Like, after trying so much, I just was like, let's do this. I drunk drove myself to my parents' house. I remember walking in there, crying my eyes out and saying, I'm going to treatment. I must have looked so crazy because it's like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yep.
And I'm just like so messed up from the night before. I just remember taking a nip in front of my mom and smoking and stuff and being like, this is what I am. Like, you know, I went as far as to hide cigarettes from my family for as long as I could. They knew I was smoking, but like pot, but because I couldn't hide how I was. They knew something was wrong with me. Even my family told me my friends had stopped by there at times and said, something's wrong with Sam, you know. But I would ghost people. My phone would be off. I'd have 6 new phones, different numbers all the time. It was just a chaotic mess. And that day, I went in the Access Line van, went to treatment. I went to a detox. And during detox, I had some heart problems, and I went to the hospital. Came back, they told me, you got to do detox again. And I was so mad. I was like, why? I don't want to do this again. And part of me just wanted to lower my tolerance. Mm-hmm. But then they said, either you can go or you can do it again. And they're like, what else do you have to do? And I was like, yeah, you know. So in detox, someone said to me, I think you need more treatment than this. And it kind of clicked. I said, I think I do. I was kind of out of it for those days. The alcohol withdrawal. I had hallucinations before I went in very badly. I remember my mom saying, Sam, you can't tell the difference between your dreams and your reality. I really couldn't. But I went into treatment for 45 days. After that, went to a sober house. That really helped me.
Yep.
So took an AA commitment in rehab.
Nice.
Went to all the meetings, was sitting up in the front with a notebook. I'm 1 week clean. I'm 2 weeks clean. Journaling, all the suggestions.
That's really cool. So you get out, you go to a sober house, and you're committed to recovery, right? So you're doing the thing. What's that look like?
Well, when I first went to the sober house, it wasn't what I expected. I thought I was going to another program.
Okay.
So when I got dropped off, I was like, wait, what? All I have is an 11 o'clock curfew? I need more structure than this. I was going to go home. My family thought I could just come home, but from listening to other people, I knew I needed change. I can't go back to the same couch I'm living on. I need to start a life for myself. So
yes.
When I was in that sober house, they asked for us to go to 4 meetings a week. We had to go to therapy or outpatient. I took the therapy route, which is so helpful for me. I had the same therapist for 3.5 years. I just got a new one. Nice. And I just started going to meetings with all the girls there and staying later, showing up earlier. That was key. And I got a little job at the diner down the street. And it was not what I needed because they served a lot of alcohol.
Of course.
So I started volunteering at CCAR.
Nice.
Because I went to a meeting and I saw you there.
Yep.
And I was like, what's that? Like, they work for recovery? And I know a lot of people in recovery talk about, hey, I want to work in recovery. I want to help people. At the time, I didn't see that many people doing it. Almost 4 years ago, from where I was at least. And I wanted to do that too.
Yep.
So I asked you about it. I started volunteering at CCAR for 6 months. I remember I got the little bronze Volunteer of the Year award.
That's awesome.
That didn't show up because I was working at the diner. But yeah, that started a lot for me, actually.
That's really cool. What was your first job at working in recovery?
The sober house, actually, that I lived at, they
Nice.
hired me as a case manager.
I remember that,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, and you're bringing all the girls around and stuff and doing stuff with them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So I'd go, like, to their house, just help their treatment program, check on them. It was good. I went to like 15 houses. There's girls and guys. I did that for about a year, and then I started working at a nonprofit in Hartford as a peer support specialist.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was my first like in recovery. I had a bunch of clients coming to me for one-on-ones, doing recovery activities. You know, that really opened a lot of doorways because I want to show people we can have fun in recovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of having fun in recovery, right? So you talked about like you thought you were a better musician while you're using all this stuff. Where does your music come back into play here?
So it's amazing, actually. I always had a dream of like putting my stuff on Apple Music or iTunes, but they were just dreams because when I was using, I didn't have the focus enough to complete anything.
Mm-hmm.
And this past year, I actually got to have a year contract, pay for it myself. It wasn't someone paying for a contract for me. I paid to put myself in the studio for a year straight to make my Shadows EP, which I got to put on all those music platforms
Nice.
and release and stuff like that. It was hard at first. I remember the first song I made, I showed it to a couple people and they were like, I don't like this, right? And I cried when I came home. I was like, no one likes my music now that I'm not using. Like, I'm not creative, all this. And everyone's going to have their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But what that album did for me is it let me release all of my expectations, my resentments, my pain, and every song on there is something that I made it through in recovery.
Yes.
You know, so now I got to play for that CCAR Recovery Festival.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool. Yeah, how
like
many
0.2 decimals.
Yeah, I mean that was a really cool event. I mean, a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
You know,
That
that was a good experience, you know, and it's really cool. So, you know, I like music. I became a musician as well in recovery. You know, it's funny. I was like bored, and my first sober summer, right? Was just about to hit that year, and I was talking to another guy in recovery, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. He goes, do whatever you want, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you can literally do anything you want except for drugs and alcohol, and do it. So I learned how to play guitar. You know. That was wicked fun. My kid loves it. She loves when daddy plays the guitar, stuff like that. I definitely don't play enough. Same thing with golf, you know. I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to golf, you know.
I got to see you actually play that song at the recovery open mic.
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah,
and then I would text you the line of the song
Yes.
to tease you. I'd be like, hey, remember?
Yeah, old man.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But recovery open mics and stuff like that was really cool, you know, and stuff like that. I think that's like, you know, fun, sober activities that people get to do, you know?
Right.
You know, and like I think that's an amazing thing. And like, you know, the thing is too is like sometimes we get sober and like, or we find recovery, right? And we're like, you know, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life? And like it sounds like, you know, you're really like exploring that and like what is this and who am I? You know, and kind of taking off with that, which is really, really cool. So an EP is an album.
Yeah.
I get
A shorter one, but yeah.
but you have a whole album about recovery.
So they are inspired by recovery, but
Okay.
I have one song specifically about me in active addiction and my higher power and my family. It's called Care for Me.
Nice.
Yeah, I wrote that in the sober house one day. I was like, I'm going to write a recovery song. And I thought it might come out corny, but I feel like it does touch on the aspects of recovery and just moving through when you feel like you're burning out. Like it says that a lot in the song, like people believe in me. And I think about recovery as like a fire that when it goes low, I need other people that are working their program or anything to come stoke that fire and like help me. And people notice that in this community. When you're not doing well, it's all it takes is someone to just say, why don't you give me a call tonight? You know, little things like that. You know, humanity needs more of that stuff. That's why I love recovery. It just
Absolutely.
is part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're going to play that song for us today?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I waited so long to find life inside me. I didn't know where I would have peace in me. I found it in the sound of hearing you love me, and I know it ain't over yet.
So tell me about some cool stuff you do in your job. Like, what's like fun recovery stuff you were kind of like hinting at before?
So in my past job, we did stuff like, well, I would come up with things for people to do because people would come in there and be like, recovery's boring. I'm not going to have fun anymore. And I think it's so important to inspire fun in recovery. So we did like you said, recovery open mics, poetry slam. I threw a recovery carnival, speaker jams, tie-dye, gingerbread house contests, like anything you can think of. I'm starting to brainstorm some things for my current job, murder mystery, and a 3-hour recovery film festival, which was inspired by this 48-hour film festival that I did before. That was so fun, and none of us used. I wasn't in recovery at the time, but we get to make little movies and watch them back and like pick the theme out of a hat. And we did a water balloon fight last week.
Nice.
We're gonna play Name That Defect. Like one of the clients there, helped come up with that idea, and just little things, like that you can laugh at. To know that you can have fun without getting high.
Yes.
We've had movie days. There's so many different things if you can brainstorm and just have fun. I know the Phoenix app does a lot of stuff like that. They'll do rock climbing and even activities in people's areas. We do volleyball every Sunday. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that help me stay clean because I look forward to it.
Yes.
Some people look forward to their clean day. I'm one of those people, but the time in between, I need to do things. I need to be around people who live the same lifestyle as me. A lot of my family's like, you're always around people in recovery. That's all you do. But all I did before was get messed up. And I was only around people who would mess up their lives, who would use every day until they passed out. I want to feel the light and the glow of other people. And I want to be that glow. If I'm not around somebody with that, I want to inspire that.
Hey, you want true fulfillment.
Yeah.
I think that's like probably I think it's really the greatest part of recovery is the people I've met in recovery. Mm. I think I feel most fulfilled around that, and like stuff like that. And it's funny, I got married a couple weeks ago, right? And like being up there, two of the guys, so the guy that married me and one of the guys that was in my wedding party literally dragged me to detox.
Wow.
And then another guy I met, I was hanging outside of a meeting smoking a cigarette, and up rides this kid on a skateboard. He's like, yo, what's up? I'm like, dude, I'm TJ. He's like, oh, I'm Eric, blah, blah, blah. And like all of a sudden, instant best friends. Like I swear, like just like best friends, right? And like another guy, Tom, that I met, we were going to go speak at a rehab, Lebanon Pines, and it's a huge rehab with 100 guys. And, it's like a big event for, guys in recovery, and we're about to go there, right? And I'm sitting at a Chinese restaurant. And like in walks this guy. The only seat next to the only seat open in the entire house is right next to me. He comes, sits down. He's like, "Hey, I'm Tom." I was like, "Hey, I'm TJ." We're like instant peas in a pod. I was like, "Oh, jump in my car, dude. Let's ride over there together." And like it's just like that's like you're talking about that glow of like we really like when we are doing well and things like that like becomes like that we glow wellness, right? And that attracts people to our light, and like for me, like I talk about it, and I talk about like my process and like, being a couple weeks sober and like not wanting to do this and not wanting to do that. And like the thing is like back then, like I was really sick, I needed to get around people who are well, right? It's like contagious in reverse, right? I was so sick. I needed to be around those people to catch the wellness, and you were kind of talking about that and like being that light and that hope and stuff. And like, I'm sure that like people at your work and clients and stuff like that love being around you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. But I even met my best friend in rehab. The closest friends I have, they're all in recovery.
Yep.
And
because you got a bond.
Right. And the friends that I have from the past that are my closest friends, they respect my recovery.
Yes.
They don't use around me. They don't try to trigger me in any way. I have this one girlfriend all the way from high school. She never puts my recovery in jeopardy. She wants to see the best for me. Those are the people I need to keep around me.
Yep.
I know my higher power put people in my life because even events recently, just the way things are intervening, just to make it so that I stay sober and clean, I feel like it's just, I always say, as an otter is a god. And, you know, it's a miracle because this is, our lives are on the line.
Yes.
It's not like, hey, I just want to have fun with and do whatever anymore. It's not. It's about responsibility. It's about things I never wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, I never could stand up on my own 2 feet before. I needed to lean on everyone else to do for me. Recovery helps me do for myself.
Yes.
That's the best gift that I could get.
Absolutely. It's what you were looking for your entire life.
Yeah, me. That's what I was looking for.
Exactly.
And someone said this the other day at the treatment center that I work at. They said, stop trying to figure out who you are and figure out instead who you want to be. Because now I have the choice to be who I want to be. You
That's
know?
really cool.
Yeah. I always spent my whole life like, who am I? Who am I? And I was changing so much I can never catch up to who I was.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can choose who I want to be. You know, the assets of this program. What do I want to portray? Do I want to be honest? Do I want to be loyal? Do I want to be a good friend?
Yep.
You know, so.
Identity is a really good conversation in recovery.
Yeah.
Because, like, I felt like there was a lot of things, like, throughout my life that took my identity, right? So I was young and, like, I played baseball and I was like, I'm a baseball player, right? And then, like, I was, like, into wrestling. So, like, I was a wrestler and, like, all these things. But, like, and, like, essentially what I was doing is searching for something, right? And then when I started using drugs and alcohol became my identity. Right? It was everything that I did. It was everything that I cared about. I literally became that person, you know? And then I get sober, right? And it's like...
And then you're that person.
I'm like, at first you're like, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
You know? And then you're trying to, like, navigate that. And then I liked what you said. It's like, it's not about who am I. It's like, who do I want to be?
Right.
Right, you know, and like there's a lot of things that like I think about today is like being a father, you know, like I love being a dad, you know, and like before I was far too selfish to ever be a father, you know. And you talked about being a musician and like art and creation and stuff like that, and I try to inspire that in my daughter, and like have her explore that stuff. And like yesterday I was my wife was showing her gymnastics on the TV. I'm standing there and my kid's like, you know. And she's like, look, Dad, at gymnastics. And I was like, you know, and like that type of stuff that like recovery opens me up to be that, you know, and like, I don't think I'm just one thing, you know, I'm many things that create me, you know, and like definitely less musically inclined than you, you know. I think you're very good at creation, but like there's a lot of things who make me who I am, you know, and like it's really all like centered around that recovery circle.
Right.
Right? Recovery gives that to me today.
Music actually was my identity before. Every time someone saw me, they'd be like, how's music going? And like they still do that, but what it's given me is not just the identity behind music. Like recovery gave me something to have as a career. Yep. I know there's many things I will be capable of doing. I'm not saying I work in recovery forever, but I want to be in long-term recovery one day. So it's a one-day process, but I can allow myself, hey, I'm going to do music for a little bit, or maybe I want to get into something else. Before it was like I wanted to make my music dream come true, and that's all I wanted. I didn't want to work a job. I didn't want to do anything else. And music doesn't pay your bills, as hard as that is. But now it allows me to have self-expression when I want to. And, you know, I can perform for recovery events. I just did the Pigs in Space Pig Roast for
Nice.
Yeah, that was really cool. I was flattered that they asked me. I can do open mics. You know, for me, it's about playing the tape through, setting myself up for success and not failure. Because there was a period of time I was going to play open mics and there were bars. And I'd go by myself and, you know, I'd feel okay. But then after I played, people would be like, let me get you a free beer. La da. And the disease part of me is like, I deserve that. Yeah. But then it's like, I don't, because I don't want to be that person. I know if I have one, it's going to turn into a lot of guilt for me because I'm so passionate about, you know, recovery, my clean time, all of that. But someone told me this first time's a gift, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to know what it's like if I had to come back into a room and say, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Like, some days I feel that way, but I don't have to have my head down. I can still come in and say, I'm still doing this thing.
Yep.
You know, I didn't give up yet. You know, someone told me, yet, I haven't hit these bottoms yet. You're eligible too. Yet.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, and thank you for playing a song for us, and, you know, showing us this up and letting us into your life.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Are you ready to make a difference in the lives of others? If so, then you should consider becoming a recovery coach. Recovery coaches are trained to help people in recovery, seeking recovery, or struggling with addiction. They provide support, guidance, and resources to help people on their recovery journey. CCAR Training is the leading provider of recovery coach training programs. Our programs are designed to teach you the skills and knowledge, what we call the science, while giving you an understanding of your own art needed to be a successful recovery coach. We offer a variety of training options, most offered online. If you're interested in becoming a recovery coach or just learning more, I encourage you to visit our website or contact us today. We would be happy to answer any questions you have and help you get started on your journey to becoming a recovery coach. We hope you'll visit us at www.addictionrecoverytraining.org to learn more.